The silver ships appeared over Earth on a Tuesday morning, hanging in the sky like deadly metal clouds. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked down at the blue planet below. His 4 arms moved across the control panels with practiced ease. In his long military career, he had conquered 17 worlds for the Zephyrian Empire. This would be number 18. The planet called Earth had been sending radio signals into space for over a century. The Zephyrian scouts had listened to their primitive communications and decided these humans were ready for conquest. They had no real space travel, no energy shields, and their weapons were still based on chemical explosions. It should be easy. Colonel Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming at Peterson Air Force Base. He ran to the command center where dozens of screens showed the same impossible sight. 12 alien ships, each one bigger than a city, floating motionless above major population centers around the world. Dr. Lisa Carter was in her laboratory when her phone rang. She was a xenobiologist who had spent her career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that possibility was hanging over Washington, D.C. The government needed her expertise more than ever. The first alien message came through every radio and television on Earth at exactly noon. The voice was mechanical and cold. It spoke perfect English, having learned the language from intercepted broadcasts. People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Zephyrian Empire. Your primitive civilization has been evaluated and found suitable for integration. Surrender your weapons and governments immediately. Resistance will result in your extinction. Colonel Morrison stared at the message transcript. His aide, Captain Sam Rodriguez, waited for orders. Rodriguez was one of the best fighter pilots in the Air Force, but his F-22 Raptor looked like a toy compared to the alien ships. "Sir, what are our orders?" Rodriguez asked. Morrison looked out the window at the massive alien vessel hovering over Colorado Springs. He thought about his wife and children back home in Texas. He thought about every American soldier who had ever died defending freedom. He picked up the radio microphone. "This is Colonel Jake Morrison of the United States Air Force speaking for planet Earth. We have a message for you, aliens." He paused, knowing his next words would change everything. "Come and take it." The silence that followed lasted exactly 30 seconds. Admiral Kethvar had never heard such a response. In his experience, primitive species begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. They did not issue challenges. He consulted his tactical computer, but it had no protocols for this situation. Dr. Carter was in the Pentagon when Morrison's message went out. The military leaders around her looked worried, but she felt something else. Pride. The aliens expected humans to surrender like frightened animals. They did not understand what they were dealing with. The first attack came that afternoon. A Zephyrian gunship fired a plasma beam at a military base in Nevada. The beam carved through the desert sand like a hot knife through butter. The base was completely destroyed in seconds. Then they waited for humanity's surrender. Instead, Captain Rodriguez climbed into his fighter jet. He knew his missiles could not penetrate alien shields, but he had an idea. The base armory had several nuclear warheads meant for submarine launches. His ground crew worked frantically to mount one under his aircraft. "This is suicide, Sam," his wingman radioed. "Maybe," Rodriguez replied. "But someone has to try." He flew straight at the alien gunship, dodging their plasma bolts. The alien weapons were powerful but slow. His small fighter was hard to hit. When he got close enough, he fired the nuclear missile and banked away hard. The explosion lit up the sky. When the light faded, the alien ship was still there, but its shields flickered and sparked. For the first time in 200 years, a Zephyrian vessel had taken damage from a primitive species. Admiral Kethvar received the damage report with shock. His gunship captain reported that the human weapon had actually penetrated their shields before exploding. The explosion itself did little damage, but the fact that it happened at all was unprecedented. Around the world, other human pilots launched similar attacks. Most failed, but a few succeeded in damaging alien ships. The Zephyrians had expected terror and surrender. Instead, they faced desperate courage and innovation. Dr. Carter studied the video footage of the attacks from her Pentagon office. She noticed something the military leaders missed. The alien ships moved in predictable patterns. Their weapons fired in calculated sequences. They fought like machines following a program. Humans fought differently. Rodriguez had flown an impossible attack pattern that no computer would choose. Other pilots tried completely different approaches. Each attack was unique, unpredictable, creative. The aliens were not prepared for such randomness. Colonel Morrison coordinated the global response from his command bunker. Reports came in from every continent. The Chinese had rammed a cargo ship filled with explosives into an alien vessel. The Russians had somehow shot down a small alien scout with an old surface-to-air missile. The British had used submarines to attack aliens that landed in their waters. None of these attacks should have worked according to alien calculations. But they did work, at least partially. The humans were not following any logical military doctrine. They were improvising, adapting, and refusing to give up. As night fell over Earth, Admiral Kethvar faced an uncomfortable truth. This conquest was not going according to plan. The humans should have surrendered after the first demonstration of Zephyrian power. Instead, they had attacked back with primitive weapons that somehow found ways to hurt his advanced ships. He opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian High Command. "This is Admiral Kethvar reporting from the Sol system. Initial conquest phase has encountered unexpected resistance. The humans refuse to acknowledge our superiority, request immediate reinforcements, and permission to use enhanced intimidation protocols." The response took several hours to arrive across interstellar distances. Request denied. Complete conquest with current forces. The Empire does not send reinforcements for primitive species. End transmission. Kethvar stared at the message. He had 12 ships and thousands of trained warriors. The humans had inferior technology and no space fleet. By every logical calculation, he should win easily. But logic did not account for the strange fire he saw in human eyes. It did not predict their willingness to die rather than submit. Colonel Morrison received reports throughout the night. Alien forces had landed in major cities around the world. Ground fighting had begun. But something remarkable was happening. Ordinary citizens were joining the fight. Teachers, farmers, mechanics, and shopkeepers were picking up weapons and standing beside soldiers. Dr. Carter worked with teams of scientists to analyze alien technology from crashed ships. Every piece of wreckage was precious. If they could understand how alien weapons and shields worked, they might find weaknesses to exploit. The war for Earth had begun, and it would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 3 months had passed since the aliens first appeared over Earth. Admiral Kethvar stood in his command center staring at reports that made no sense. According to every military manual in the Zephyrian Empire, primitive species surrendered. Within weeks of first contact, Earth should have been fully conquered by now. Instead, the planet below him buzzed with resistance. His forces controlled all major cities and strategic resources, but the humans had simply disappeared underground. Literally underground. They lived and fought from subway tunnels, abandoned mines, and cave systems that his scanners could barely detect. Dr. Ben Williams worked by candlelight in an abandoned subway station beneath New York City. Before the invasion, he had been a computer engineer at a tech company. Now he was part of the most important project on Earth. Scattered around him were pieces of alien technology recovered from crashed ships. Each fragment was like a puzzle, piece in a language nobody understood. "Hand me that power cell," he said to Katie Lopez, who had been an automotive engineer before the war. She was better at understanding alien machinery than most people with advanced degrees. Her hands moved carefully as she connected wires that glowed with strange energy. Above them, Major Alex Turner led a patrol through the ruins of Manhattan. Turner had been a special forces officer before the invasion. Now he commanded a network of resistance cells that stretched around the entire planet. The aliens thought they had destroyed human command structures. They did not understand that humans could organize without central authority. His radio crackled with reports from around the world. In London, resistance fighters had blown up an alien supply depot. In Tokyo, civilians had somehow managed to crash an alien transport into the bay. In Moscow, former soldiers were teaching children how to make bombs from household chemicals. The aliens controlled the surface, but they could not control the will to fight that burned in every human heart. Mary Johnson had been an elementary school teacher before the war. Now she ran an intelligence network made up entirely of children. Kids could move through the ruins without attracting attention. They could hide in places too small for adult soldiers. They watched alien patrol patterns and reported everything to the resistance. Her 10-year-old students had become spies and saboteurs. It broke her heart, but it also filled her with fierce pride. Even human children refused to accept defeat. Chris Davis had owned a farm in Iowa before the aliens came. His crops were burned, his livestock killed, but he was far from helpless. He had spent months studying alien biology from tissue samples gathered after battles. Earth bacteria and viruses that were harmless to humans made the aliens very sick. He was weaponizing life itself. In his hidden laboratory, Davis mixed compounds that would make alien food supplies toxic. He created biological agents that attacked alien breathing systems. He was turning Earth's entire ecosystem into a weapon. Pete. Mitchell was 73 years old and had fought in 3 human wars before the aliens arrived. Age had slowed his body, but not his mind. He led a team of elderly volunteers who specialized in sabotage. While younger fighters engaged alien patrols, Pete's team destroyed infrastructure that the aliens needed to supply their forces. "These youngsters don't know how to fight a real war," he told his team as they planted explosives under an alien communications tower. "You don't beat an enemy by shooting at them. You beat them by making it impossible for them to function." Admiral Kethvar received daily reports that frustrated him beyond measure. His forces destroyed human weapons factories, but new ones appeared overnight in hidden locations. He eliminated resistance leaders, but more leaders emerged from the civilian population. He controlled every major resource on the planet, but somehow the humans kept fighting with equipment that seemed to appear from nowhere. His tactical computers could not explain what they were facing. Traditional warfare involved armies fighting armies, professional soldiers following orders from centralized commands. Earth had no such structure. Every human seemed to be a soldier. Every civilian building could be a weapons factory. Every child might be a spy. The worst part was how quickly humans learned. Dr. Williams and his team had somehow reverse-engineered alien power sources. Resistance fighters now carried weapons that fired alien energy bolts. Human vehicles had alien shields that protected them from Zephyrian plasma beams. Captain Julie Brooks flew a modified human fighter jet equipped with alien technology. Before the war, she had been a commercial airline pilot. The military had trained her to fly combat missions in just 6 weeks. Her jet looked like human engineering on the outside, but alien technology powered its weapons and shields. She hunted Zephyrian patrol ships through the skies above Chicago. Her tactics made no sense to alien pilots who were trained to fight in formation. She attacked from impossible angles, used the sun to blind alien sensors, and flew patterns that should have been suicide but somehow worked. "Brooks to base, I have 3 alien fighters following me into the cloud bank," she radioed. "Negative, Brooks, do not engage 3 ships alone," came the response. "Too late, I'm already engaging," she replied, diving into a storm cloud where alien sensors could not track her properly. When she emerged from the clouds, 2 of the 3 alien ships were falling toward the Earth in flames. Tony Garcia had been a paramedic before the invasion. Now he was something between a combat medic and a guerrilla fighter. He saved human lives during battles, but he also studied alien biology every time he treated wounded enemies. His medical knowledge was being used to find new ways to hurt the invaders. Danny Smith worked in a hidden workshop beneath the ruins of Detroit. He had been an electronics technician before the war. Now he built electromagnetic pulse weapons from car parts and kitchen appliances. His devices could disable alien equipment and level the playing field in ground combat. Dr. Grace Kelly had worked for NASA before the aliens arrived. Now she used her knowledge of communications technology to hack into Zephyrian networks. Every message the aliens sent was intercepted and analyzed. Every weakness in their systems was exploited. The aliens were learning too, but not fast enough. They adapted their tactics to counter human strategies, but humans adapted faster. Every day brought new innovations, new weapons, new ways to hurt the invaders. Admiral Kethvar faced a problem that had never appeared in Zephyrian military history. His enemy was not just refusing to surrender. They were getting stronger. Human. Technology was advancing at an impossible rate. Their tactics were becoming more effective. Their resistance was spreading to every corner of the planet. He opened another communication channel to the High Command. This is Admiral Kethvar requesting immediate reinforcements. The human resistance has proven more resilient than anticipated. They are adapting to our technology and developing countermeasures. Full conquest will require additional resources. The response came back faster this time. Admiral Kethvar, you report that a primitive species is successfully resisting the might of the Zephyrian Empire. This is unacceptable. Fleet Commander Zarthul is being dispatched with 50 additional ships and authorization to use extreme measures. Do not fail again. Kethvar stared at the message. 50 ships. That would bring his total force to 62 vessels, more than had been needed to conquer the last 5 worlds combined. He was requesting more help to defeat one primitive planet than the Empire had used to conquer entire star systems. But as he looked down at Earth, still glowing with the fires of resistance after 3 months of occupation, he knew even 50 ships might not be enough. The humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. They fought like every single individual would rather die than surrender their freedom. Commander Nick Foster crept through the ruins of an alien supply base with his team. Foster had been a Marine before the invasion. His team included Rick Stone, a demolitions expert, and Amy Clark, a communications specialist. Their mission was simple: steal an entire alien supply ship. It was an impossible mission. The ship was guarded by dozens of alien soldiers. It was protected by energy shields and automated defenses. No human had ever successfully captured an intact alien vessel. "This is crazy, Nick," Stone whispered as they approached the perimeter. "Crazy is what we do best," Foster replied. "The aliens expect logical tactics. We're going to give them pure human insanity instead." Fleet Commander Zarthul arrived at Earth with 50 warships and a reputation for ending rebellions quickly. He had crushed uprisings on 12 worlds, always using the same proven method: overwhelming force, followed by public executions. Fear was the most reliable weapon in the Zephyrian arsenal. His first order was simple: begin orbital bombardment of human population centers. Target civilians. Make them understand the cost of resistance. The plasma beams fell from the sky like burning rain. Cities that had already been damaged by months of fighting were reduced to smoking craters. Millions of humans died in the first day of the new campaign. Zarthul waited for the surrender broadcasts that always followed such demonstrations. Instead, he received reports that confused him. The surviving humans were not fleeing the bombed cities. They were digging deeper into the ruins. They were rescuing their wounded and building new weapons from the wreckage. The orbital bombardment had not broken their spirit. It had made them angrier. Captain Julie Brooks pulled survivors from the ruins of Chicago after the bombardment. Her pilot training had made her good at staying calm during disasters. She organized rescue teams and evacuation routes while alien ships still circled overhead. Around her, ordinary citizens performed extraordinary acts of courage. Medic Tony Garcia worked without sleep for 3 days straight, treating blast victims in makeshift hospitals. He had no proper equipment and limited supplies, but he saved lives through skill and determination. When alien ground troops tried to stop his medical work, he fought them off with weapons taken from dead soldiers. The bombardment should have terrorized the human population into submission. Instead, it revealed something that shocked the alien observers. Humans became more dangerous when they were hurt and angry. Their capacity for violence increased when their families were threatened. Danny Smith lost his workshop in the Detroit bombing, but within hours he was building new electromagnetic weapons in a subway tunnel. His devices were cruder than before, but they worked. He taught other survivors how to make them from rubble and scrap metal. Dr. Grace Kelly had been monitoring alien communications when the bombardment began. She barely escaped her facility before it was destroyed, but she managed to save her equipment. From a new hideout in the ruins, she continued hacking alien networks. What she discovered made her smile grimly. The aliens were arguing among themselves, Admiral Kethvar and Fleet Commander Zarthul disagreed about strategy. Some alien officers were questioning whether Earth could be conquered at all. Doubt was spreading through their ranks like a disease. Commander Nick Foster had succeeded in his impossible mission. His team had actually captured an intact alien supply ship during the confusion of the bombardment. Rick Stone had disabled the guards with explosive charges while Amy Clark hacked the ship's security systems. Now Foster faced an even more impossible task, learning to fly an alien spacecraft. The controls made no sense to human eyes. The writing was in an unknown language. But humans had always been good at figuring out machines, even when those machines came from other worlds. The engines seemed to work like jet turbines, Foster said, studying the alien systems with engineer Phil Evans and weapons specialist Carla Martinez. But instead of burning fuel, they manipulate some kind of energy field. Can we fly it? Martinez asked. We're going to find out, Foster replied. The stolen alien ship lifted off from Earth 3 days later with a crew of 12 humans who had learned alien technology through trial and error. Their destination was the Zephyrian staging base in the Alpha Centauri system. No human had ever traveled to another star system, but desperation made people brave. Back on Earth, the resistance had evolved into something the aliens had never seen before. General Steve Nelson coordinated global operations from a command center built inside an abandoned mine. Before the war, he had been a logistics officer. Now he commanded millions of fighters scattered across the planet. Combat engineer Rosa Hernandez developed new weapons every day in hidden factories. She had learned to combine human creativity with alien technology in ways that produced remarkable results. Her latest invention was a handheld device that could overload alien shields from close range. The Zephyrians controlled the sky and most of the surface, but they could not control the tunnels, caves, and underground facilities where humans lived and worked. Entire cities had been rebuilt beneath the earth. Schools taught children how to fight. Factories produced weapons around the clock. Hospitals treated wounded warriors who would return to battle as soon as they could walk. Intelligence officer Diane Wu intercepted alien communications that revealed growing panic in the Zephyrian command structure. Supply shortages were becoming critical. Morale was collapsing among alien troops who had expected an easy conquest. Some alien units were reporting combat stress disorders that had never been seen in Zephyrian military history. The humans were fighting a war of attrition, and they were winning. Admiral Kethvar met with Fleet Commander Zarthul in the flagship's war room. Holographic displays showed the tactical situation on Earth. Red markers indicated human resistance activity. There were thousands of them scattered across every continent. How is this possible? Zarthul demanded. We have bombarded their cities. We have killed millions of them. We control every strategic resource on this planet. Why do they continue fighting? Kethvar had been studying humans for months. He was beginning to understand something that terrified him. They are not fighting for territory or resources, Commander. They are fighting for something they call freedom. It is more important to them than their own lives. Impossible. No species values abstract concepts more than survival. Humans do, Kethvar replied quietly. The proof came when Foster's stolen ship reached the Alpha Centauri base. The alien facility was designed to be impregnable. It was protected by energy shields, automated defense systems, and a garrison of elite warriors. No primitive species should have been able to approach it, much less attack it. Foster's human crew did not attack the base directly. Instead, they studied it for 3 days, looking for weaknesses that alien designers would not have considered. They found that the base's shields were tuned to stop large, powerful weapons. Small objects moving at high speed could slip through the gaps. Amy Clark used the stolen ship's communication system to hack into the base's computers. She uploaded a virus that Dr. Grace Kelly had designed specifically for Zephyrian technology. The virus spread through the base's network like wildfire, disabling critical systems and opening the shields at precise moments. Phil Evans piloted the ship through the shield gaps with precision that seemed impossible to alien observers. His human reflexes and intuition allowed him to navigate defenses that would have stopped any conventional attack. Carla Martinez used the ship's weapons to target specific weak points in the base structure. Her shots were not the most powerful, but they were placed with surgical accuracy that caused maximum damage to critical systems. The Alpha Centauri base was destroyed in 17 minutes. A facility that had taken years to build and was defended by the Empire's best technology fell to 12 humans in a stolen ship who had learned to fly it through sheer determination. When news of the base's destruction reached Earth, something changed in the human resistance. They realized they could take the fight beyond their own planet. If humans could destroy alien facilities in other star systems, then Earth was not alone in this war. Fleet Commander Zarthul received the destruction report with shock that turned to fear. His species had ruled the galaxy for centuries through technological superiority. Now a primitive planet had reached out across interstellar space and destroyed one of their most secure installations. "How many ships do they have?" he demanded. "Unknown, Commander. Our surviving sensors detected only one vessel, but it was using our own technology. They may have captured others." Zarthul stared at the tactical displays. Red markers showed human activity spreading beyond Earth. If they had mastered interstellar travel using stolen alien technology, then this war could spread to other systems. The humans might attack Zephyrian worlds directly. For the first time in his military career, Zarthul felt something he had never experienced before: the fear of defeat. These primitive humans were not just resisting conquest. They were fighting back across interstellar distances with captured technology and impossible determination. On Earth, resistance fighters celebrated the destruction of the alien base, but their leaders knew the war was far from over. The aliens would respond to this humiliation with even greater force. Humanity needed to be ready for whatever came next. Colonel Morrison, now promoted to general, addressed resistance leaders in a global video conference. "The enemy knows we can hurt them now, even beyond Earth. They will try to end this war quickly with overwhelming force. We need to be ready for anything." Dr. Lisa Carter, who had become humanity's expert on alien psychology, added her analysis. "They are afraid of us now. Fear makes enemies dangerous, but it also makes them make mistakes. We need to be ready to exploit those mistakes when they come." Captain Laura Green had never expected to command an alien starship, but desperate times created unexpected opportunities. The captured Zephyrian cruiser had been renamed Earth's Revenge by its human crew. Green, a former Navy destroyer captain, now led humanity's first interstellar fleet into battle against impossible odds. Her crew included navigator Phil Evans, whose ability to understand alien star charts had proven invaluable, and weapons specialist Carla Martinez, who had learned to operate Zephyrian weapon systems through months of dangerous experimentation. They were joined by 20 other humans who had mastered alien technology through determination and courage. Their mission was to strike at Zephyrian supply lines before Fleet Commander Zarthul could launch his final assault on Earth. Intelligence, gathered by Diane Wu, had revealed the locations of 3 major staging areas. If these bases could be destroyed, the alien fleet would be crippled by lack of supplies and reinforcements. The first target was a fuel depot orbiting a gas giant in the Proxima Centauri system. The base was lightly defended because the Zephyrians had never imagined that humans could threaten installations so far from Earth. This overconfidence would be their downfall. Green's ship approached the depot using stealth technology reverse-engineered from captured alien vessels. Dr. Ben Williams had modified the ship's systems to mimic Zephyrian energy signatures. To enemy sensors, Earth's Revenge appeared to be just another Imperial patrol vessel. "We're within weapons range," Martinez reported from her station. "Remember, we hit fast and hard, then get out before reinforcements arrive," Green ordered. "We can't win a prolonged battle, but we can cause maximum damage in minimum time." The attack began with a coordinated strike on the depot's shield generators. Martinez had spent weeks studying Zephyrian defensive systems, looking for weaknesses that alien engineers would never consider. She found that the shields had blind spots designed to allow friendly ships to dock. Those same blind spots could be exploited by enemy fire. The fuel depot exploded in a chain reaction that lit up the entire system. Millions of gallons of refined energy plasma burned like a miniature star. The explosion was visible from planets dozens of light years away. Back on Earth, the resistance had evolved into a liberation movement. General Steve Nelson coordinated operations from a massive underground command center that stretched for miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. His staff included former military officers, civilian engineers, and ordinary citizens who had become expert strategists through necessity. Combat engineer Rosa Hernandez had developed a new generation of weapons that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. Her latest creation was a portable shield generator that could protect human soldiers from Zephyrian plasma weapons. The devices were crude compared to alien equipment, but they worked well enough to even the odds in ground combat. The liberation of Los Angeles began at dawn on a Tuesday. The city had been under alien occupation for 8 months, but the human population had never stopped planning their return. Resistance cells emerged from sewers, subway tunnels, and abandoned buildings, like an army of ghosts. Ray Cooper led a team of Special Forces veterans through the streets they had once called home. Cooper had been captured and tortured by alien interrogators, but he had escaped and returned to fight. His hatred for the invaders burned cold and focused, making him one of the most effective resistance leaders on the planet. "Remember, we're not trying to hold territory," he radioed to his team. "We hit their command centers, destroy their equipment, and disappear before they can respond. We're shadows with guns." The battle for Los Angeles lasted 18 hours and ended with complete human victory. The alien garrison was destroyed or driven off, and the city was free. Similar uprisings occurred simultaneously in dozens of cities around the world. The Zephyrians were losing control of Earth one city at a time. Admiral Kethvar watched the tactical displays with growing despair. His forces were being defeated by an enemy that fought without regard for conventional military doctrine. Human attacks came from unexpected directions, used unconventional weapons, and followed no logical pattern that his computers could predict. The worst part was how quickly humans learned and adapted. Every Zephyrian tactic was countered within days. Every technological advantage was neutralized by human innovation. The primitive species that should have surrendered months ago had become a formidable enemy that grew stronger with every battle. Captain Laura Green's interstellar campaign continued with devastating effectiveness. Her second target was a communications relay that coordinated Zephyrian fleet movements across 3 star systems. The base was destroyed by a combination of hacking and explosives that left alien commanders unable to coordinate their forces effectively. The third target was an ammunition depot that supplied the entire Earth invasion fleet. Green's crew approached the facility disguised as a damaged Zephyrian transport requesting emergency assistance. When the depot lowered its shields to provide aid, Martinez unleashed every weapon on the ship simultaneously. The explosion could be seen from Earth with the naked eye. Fleet Commander Zarthul faced a crisis unlike anything in Zephyrian military history. His supply lines were under constant attack by human raiders who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. His ground forces were losing control of Earth city by city. His communication networks were being disrupted by human hackers who seemed to understand alien technology better than its creators. Most disturbing of all, his own troops were beginning to question the war. Zephyrian soldiers had been trained to expect easy victories over primitive species. Instead, they faced an enemy that fought with desperate courage and technological sophistication that should have been impossible. Major Veltar, one of Zarthul's most trusted officers, submitted a report that confirmed the commander's worst fears. "Sir, morale among the troops is at critical levels. They report that humans fight without regard for personal safety. Even wounded humans continue fighting until death. Our psychological warfare protocols are completely ineffective. What do you recommend, Major?" "Immediate withdrawal to regroup and develop new strategies. This enemy requires tactics we have never used before." Zarthul stared at his subordinate in shock. A Zephyrian officer was recommending retreat from a primitive species. It was unthinkable, but it might also be the only rational choice. On Earth, Dr. Grace Kelly monitored alien communications from her hidden facility. The intelligence she gathered painted a picture of an enemy force in crisis. Alien units were reporting equipment failures, supply shortages, and communication breakdowns. Some Zephyrian commanders were openly questioning their orders. "They're falling apart," she reported to General Nelson during their daily briefing. The humans they expected to defeat in weeks have been fighting them for almost a year. Their entire military doctrine is based on quick victories through technological superiority. They don't know how to fight a long war against an adaptive enemy. General Nelson smiled grimly. Then we keep adapting. We keep fighting. We show them that humans never give up. Janet Parker had been a CIA operative before the invasion. Now she led the most dangerous mission in human history. Her team had infiltrated a Zephyrian fleet command ship using stolen alien uniforms and forged identification. Their goal was to plant surveillance devices that would give human forces real-time intelligence on alien fleet movements. The mission required her to walk through corridors filled with alien soldiers while pretending to be a Zephyrian officer. Any mistake would mean death, but the intelligence was too valuable to ignore. She planted the first device in the ship's communication center, while aliens worked at their stations just meters away. The second device went into the navigation system. The third was placed in the commander's private quarters where the most sensitive discussions took place. Parker and her team escaped the ship without being detected, but what they had learned during their infiltration was almost unbelievable. The Zephyrians were planning to sterilize Earth completely. If they could not conquer humanity, they would destroy the planet entirely to prevent other species from learning that the mighty Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. The intelligence reached Earth's leadership within hours. General Morrison, now promoted to Marshal and Commander of all human forces, called an emergency meeting of resistance leaders around the world. They're planning to destroy our entire planet, he announced. Complete sterilization, nothing would survive. Dr. Lisa Carter, who had become humanity's expert on alien psychology, studied the intercepted communications. They're more afraid of us than we realized. They know that if word spreads about Earth's resistance, other species might rebel against the Empire. We've become a threat to their entire civilization. Commander Nick Foster recently returned from another successful raid on alien installations spoke for many when he said, "Let them try. We've survived everything they've thrown at us so far. If they want to destroy Earth, they'll have to catch us first." His words carried more weight than anyone realized at the time. Secret human colonies had already been established on dozens of worlds using captured alien technology. Even if Earth was destroyed, humanity would survive among the stars, carrying the knowledge that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. Fleet Commander Zarthel stood before the massive planet-killer weapon that would end the human problem forever. The device could burn away Earth's atmosphere and sterilize every square inch of the planet's surface. It was the Empire's ultimate solution for species that refused to surrender. His fleet had been reduced to 37 ships after months of human raids and sabotage. Supply lines were broken. Communications were compromised. Morale was at levels that would have been considered mutinous under normal circumstances. But none of that mattered now. In 6 hours, Earth would be a dead rock floating in space. Admiral Kethvar entered the command chamber carrying a datapad with his final report. He had been captured by human resistance fighters 3 weeks ago, but had managed to escape during a prisoner exchange. What he had learned during his captivity would haunt him for the rest of his life. "Commander, I must speak with you privately before the planet killer is activated," Kethvar said. Zarthel dismissed his staff and waited for the Admiral to explain himself. "Sir, during my captivity I was interrogated by a human special forces officer named Ray Cooper. He showed me something that changes everything we know about this war." Kethvar activated a holographic display that showed star charts of the local Galactic region. Red dots marked dozens of star systems throughout Zephyrian space. "These are human colonies, Commander. They have been establishing settlements using our own technology for the past 8 months. Even if we destroy Earth, millions of humans are already scattered across the galaxy." Zarthel stared at the display in shock. "How is this possible? We control all the hyperspace routes. Our sensors monitor every ship movement. They are using captured vessels with modified transponders. To our detection systems, they appear to be Zephyrian transport ships. They have been hiding in plain sight while we focused on conquering their homeworld." The implications hit Zarthel like a physical blow. Destroying Earth would not end the human threat. It would only create millions of interstellar refugees with superior technology, intimate knowledge of Zephyrian weaknesses, and an unlimited desire for revenge. Ray Cooper had indeed shown Admiral Kethvar evidence of the human diaspora, but he had not told the alien everything. The colonies were more than just refugee settlements. They were military bases being prepared for a galactic war against the Zephyrian Empire. Commander Joe Taylor commanded one such base in the Vega system. Before the invasion, he had been a logistics officer in the Space Force. Now he coordinated supply lines that stretched across dozens of star systems. Human engineers like Beth Morgan had modified alien ships to carry massive amounts of equipment and personnel to distant worlds. The Iowa colonies were not just surviving, they were thriving. Human adaptability allowed them to flourish on worlds that Zephyrians considered uninhabitable. Desert planets, ice worlds, and high radiation environments became homes for humans who refused to accept defeat. Each colony was also a weapons factory. Human engineers studied captured alien technology and improved upon it using human innovation and creativity. The weapons being produced in secret facilities were often superior to original Zephyrian designs. On Earth, Janet Parker broadcast the final human message to the alien fleet from her infiltrated position, aboard Zarthul's flagship. She had been living disguised as a Zephyrian officer for weeks, gathering intelligence and preparing for this moment. Commander Zarthul, this is Janet Parker, agent of Earth's intelligence service. By now you have learned about our colonies, throughout your empire. What you have not learned is that we have been preparing for this day since the war began. As she spoke, human ships began appearing throughout the Zephyrian fleet. They had been disguised using advanced stealth technology, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. The aliens found themselves surrounded by the very species they had come to exterminate. Captain Laura Green commanded the lead human vessel. Her ship, Earth's Revenge, had been joined by dozens of others captured or built using alien technology. Each ship was crewed by humans who had learned to fight in space through months of desperate combat. This is Captain Green to all human vessels. Remember, we're not here to destroy their fleet. We're here to send a message that will echo across the galaxy. The human ships did not fire immediately. Instead, they simply surrounded the alien fleet in a perfect sphere formation that demonstrated their tactical superiority. Every Zephyrian vessel was targeted by multiple human ships. The aliens were completely outmaneuvered. Fleet Commander Zarthul realized he was facing a trap that had been months in the making. While his forces had been fighting a grinding war of attrition on Earth's surface, humans had been preparing for this moment. They had allowed him to bring his entire fleet to Earth so they could defeat it decisively in front of the entire galaxy. Admiral Kethvar received a communication from the human ship nearest to the flagship. The voice belonged to Ray Cooper, the same Special Forces officer who had interrogated him during his captivity. Admiral Kethvar, you told me during our conversations that Zephyrian military doctrine is based on demonstrating overwhelming superiority to prevent resistance. Today we are demonstrating overwhelming superiority to you. The question is whether you will learn the same lesson you have been teaching other species for centuries. The transmission was being broadcast on all frequencies throughout Zephyrian space. Every world in the Empire could hear human voices speaking calmly about defeating the mighty Imperial fleet. The psychological impact would be devastating. Dr. Lisa Carter, monitoring communications from her facility on Earth, detected panic spreading through the alien command structure. Zephyrian officers were receiving contradictory orders from their high command. Some units were ordered to attack immediately, while others were told to withdraw and regroup. The confusion was exactly what human strategists had predicted. The Zephyrian Empire had never faced a situation where their technological superiority was neutralized by an adaptive enemy. Their military protocols had no contingency plans for strategic defeat. General Morrison, commanding Earth's forces from his underground headquarters, opened a direct communication channel to Fleet Commander Zarthul. Commander, this is Marshal Morrison of the Earth Defense Forces. Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. Your supply lines have been cut. Your colonies are under attack by human forces throughout your empire. You have two choices: withdraw immediately and never return. To human space or be destroyed where you stand. Zarthul stared at the tactical display showing his fleet surrounded by human vessels. In his long military career, he had never imagined such a moment was possible. A primitive species from a single planet had outfought, outmaneuvered, and outthought the greatest military force in the galaxy. How? He asked aloud, not caring who heard him. Janet Parker answered from her position on his own bridge. Because you never understood what you were fighting. You thought you were conquering a primitive species. But you were actually fighting an idea. The idea that intelligent beings should be free to choose their own destiny. That idea cannot be conquered, Commander. It can only spread. The final proof of human victory came when reports arrived from throughout Zephyrian space. Human forces had simultaneously attacked military installations on 17 different worlds. The raids were perfectly coordinated across interstellar distances, demonstrating a level of strategic planning that exceeded anything in Zephyrian military history. More importantly, the attacks had been supported by local populations who had been inspired by Earth's resistance. Species that had been conquered decades ago were rising against their Zephyrian overlords. The human example was spreading like wildfire throughout the galaxy. Fleet Commander Zarthul faced the most difficult decision of his career. He could order his fleet to attack and likely destroy many human ships before being defeated. Such a battle would result in massive casualties on both sides and accomplish nothing strategic. Or he could acknowledge what every sensor reading and tactical analysis was telling him. The Zephyrian Empire had encountered an enemy it could not defeat. Through conventional warfare. All ships, this is Fleet Commander Zarthul. Stand down weapons and prepare for withdrawal from the Sol system. This engagement is terminated. The order sent shockwaves through the Zephyrian fleet, but it was obeyed. For the first time in 5 centuries, the mighty Zephyrian Empire was retreating from a primitive species. Admiral Kethavar approached his commander as the fleet began its withdrawal maneuvers. Sir, the High Command will demand an explanation for our failure to complete the conquest. Zarthul looked at the displays showing human ships escorting his fleet toward the edge of the star system. Tell them we learned something new about warfare, Admiral. We learned that some species cannot be defeated because they refuse to accept defeat. We can destroy their worlds, kill their populations, and burn their cities, but we cannot conquer their will to be free. As the last Zephyrian ship disappeared into hyperspace, humans throughout the galaxy celebrated their impossible victory. They had faced annihilation and emerged victorious through courage, innovation, and an absolute refusal to surrender. But the celebration was tempered by the knowledge that this was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated.